Alright, hello gamers, Mucklick here, and today on the newest episode of I Tried, we attempted to play the dime a dozen deadbeat DPS known as the Condition Damage Daredevil. We chose Condition Damage because we found there is power and Condi versions of the build. Using the benchmarks page on Snowcrows that just tells me what the top nerds in the game are able to do, I found out that the power version does slightly less damage at the roof than the Condi version, supposedly. Additionally, people that label the difficulty of the build said that the Condi version was easier to play. So I was like, more damage and easier to play? Why wouldn't I play that? So I went with Condi. So that's the reason I'm playing it. Then I proceeded to, as I mentioned before, opened up Guild Jen because I like how she writes the guides. But I had both the Guild Jen and Snowcrow's page side by side. Now, on there, we have decided to go with full Vipers on everything. And I've got full Leggy everything except one exotic dagger, so very slight DPS loss there. Bursting and Earth on the daggers. Rune of the Crate on the armor. Relic of the Fractal, and we also have a short bow with Paralyzation and Doom. Now, I got the whole build, as in everything here, as well as most of what's here, was the same on both websites, and I found this kind of interesting. However, one website had different runes and sigils and second weapon than the other. The other version of this build has a main hand dagger here and an offhand dagger here, so that you can hit the weapon swap button, but it doesn't really change anything. You stay double dagger all the time. And then with those double daggers, you are able to put a, I believe, Sigil of Doom on it, which will proc every time you weapon swap. This one does not use weapon swap except when you need a ranged attack with the short bow, and also the paralyzation helps with the choking gas bomb spam if you need to do a little bit more CC, I believe was the point of this. So I'm not saying this is the best way of playing it, but I'm explaining that that is what I ended up playing today as I tried this out for a few hours. Now, let's talk about playing the build. I'm going to try to do a demonstration just to show that I have a basic understanding of how this works. This is an average golem. It's got some condis on it. I've got some boons on me to simulate being in a group, and I would do more damage than usual with this if I had full team here, so we'll use Thieves Guild to simulate them for a second. So we're going to precast this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and we're going to jump back and forth through it. I forgot to unmute my game, so that's why it's so quiet right now, but that's fine. So we're just going to go back and forth through here, and I will do a more accurate description of what I'm doing later, focusing on this right now. And lots of flipping, lots of flipping. We're already at 31k. And let's just do some autos for a second. Well, I don't even know what this is. Rusty Scrap Spike? Sure, yeah, use that. I don't care. I don't know what these moves do. And let's do that, and that, and that, and that, and that. And we're staying around 31k right now. And let's steal to get more dodge juice. And do this, and do this. All right, so we're like 32k. 32,000 damage. And we are going to just stop there and go back over here and respawn the golem, which will just forcibly despawn and respawn the golem just so that we are out of combat. Now, how does this work? How does this work? So, some of the main notes in the build are as follows. When you dodge, two things happen. One, caltrops are left on the ground that continually apply bleed to whatever they are under. So if I dodge over here, the caltrops will not work. The second thing that happens when I dodge, if you'll very carefully watch between me and the target, I throw knives, okay? So every time you dodge, you're effectively doing two types of attacks. One that sits on the ground, and one that throws knives at the enemy. So dodging is a damage ability. Additionally, when I dodge, I get a buff for 4 seconds called Lotus Training that increases my damage output. The second thing is Death Blossom. Death Blossom will flip you through your target, or if it's a fat target, you might just land right in the middle of it, like what happened to me on Bone Skinner, and it will do a bunch of attacks through the air. If I back up a little bit and do this, it looks like that, okay? So I'm spending my endurance on dodges, and I'm spending my initiative, which is Thief mana, into Death Blossom. Now you can kind of pair these. So you can dodge through it and then Death Blossom back, okay? And I kind of really like that because that doesn't require you to run back to where you should be standing as much. So let's say your whole group is right here. This is where all the boons are. This is where the healing is. You just like dodge through it and then you do that and you end up back with them. And you can just keep doing that. Okay, every time you've got endurance and you've got initiative, you just do this. Now, if you end up with more initiative than endurance, you could just use the 3 skill twice. If you end up with full endurance and low initiative, you could just dodge twice. Whatever, okay? That's pretty much it. You're using your dodge, using the 3 skill to keep this down, and you're auto-attacking. If you get your resources low, so like dodge and 3 and dodge and 3 and dodge and 3, and I'll just keep doing 3 a few more times just to drain it, you can use steal, which gives you a bunch of both resources to help refill the tank so that you can keep on going. Now, what are your other skills? Thieves Guild is just pure damage. It summons the boys, all right? Spider Venom gives everyone around you poison. So you want to get right in the middle of the team and do that, and then all of your teammates on their next attacks apply poison to the enemy, and that is added to your damage. All right, so if you're with your team, make sure to stand right in the middle of them when you do that. Caltrops, you drop this, and it just throws down things just like when you dodge, and they keep applying bleeding for 10 seconds. So they'll do 10 to 11 stacks of bleeding. 1,000 Needles, you put down a trap, and then after a few seconds, you are allowed to activate it, and it does an explosion with a huge amount of condition damage. But if the target is moving around a whole lot, you would probably replace this with a different skill, but it is part of the standard build. So, to recap, how to play this. You will be fighting the boss. You effectively use these whenever they're on cooldown, but Caltrops and 1,000 Needles you only use if the target is going to be holding still for a few seconds. If you are clicking Spider Venom, make sure you're standing near your teammates, and effectively dodge through it and dagger 3 back. Dodge through it, dagger 3 back. You're low on resources, you can use steal and keep dodging and dagger 3ing, and not only are you easily doing 30,000 damage per second, you're evading more than half the time. I did Bone Skinner earlier, and it was kind of scary because all the dodging and bouncing around that this character does, I had very minimal control over where I was landing. Because instead of dodging through the target like you see here, where I just land on the other side and it's like, oh, I'm just gonna go in a straight line. Apparently with a big fat hitbox, it's not that simple. I was going all over the place, but I was evading the whole time. I was landing in those deadly puddles constantly, dodging into them and dodging right out and never taking damage. It was insane. It was absolutely wild how much this avoids in terms of damage. In my mind, this is as noob friendly as like Reaper, which was like top tier for noob friendly to me. Reaper has a second health bar, which is why it's so, friendly for new players. It's very sturdy. It's forgiving of mistakes. This is too, because you're not getting hit, which it's stunning. It's like, I'm dodging. Both your dodge is a dodge and your 3 is a dodge. Both of them evade. So it might be more than 60% of the time you're evading, which is crazy. There is so many things that can happen in fights that you do not have to stop attacking because of the nature of your skills. Now, I've gone over that stuff. What are some alternatives? There was a few fights I changed what I was doing. For example, if there's a big break bar on a boss, you could swap this out for Basilisk Venom. If any of you are thinking about playing Thief and you've never played it, this is a classic skill. It basically coats you and your teammates' weapons with a poison, and on their next attack, which in a fight, it's almost instantaneous, they do 150 break bar damage. Times 5 teammates, that's 750 break bar damage. It's one of the fastest ways to do that much CC in the game. I said one of, guys. I chose my words very carefully there. But if you've got your whole teammates hitting the boss and you use this and all the applications are used up instantly, that's a lot of CC very fast. So, classic option for CC. The other thing is Caltrops. If the target is moving around too much, you would replace this with Devourer Venom. Again, puts a poison on nearby teammates' weapons. It's instant, you just gotta make sure you're in range of them, but this will make them immobilize the enemy on the next attack. Bosses are, of course, immune to immobilize. Why does that matter? This trait turns immobilizes into poisons. It's damage. That's it. It's damage, not as much as Caltrops, but it's mobile damage. Because while your whole group is running around, you poison their weapons, they hit the guy, whether he's moving or not, and then he gets more poisons. So those are the skills you would swap out if, you basically, if you're going into like a strike or a raid boss, you ask yourself, do I need CC? If yes, Basilisk Venom. If not, Thieves Guild. Is the boss going to move a lot? If yes, Devour Venom. If no, Caltrops. I don't even know what any of these other moves do. That one actually looks like one of those things that hangs above a baby crib, and that is kind of terrifying to me. Anyway, that is it. That is the freaking build. If I was forced at range and I was having to stay away for a time, I would go short bow and I would just spam short bow 4. Using dodges and short bow 4, I could still do like 22,000 damage per second. We checked it earlier. The short bow 4 spams poison and it also spams CC. So you can also do, if you need more CC from range or melee, you can do short bow 4. There's a pistol skill that's also an option, but this is just the build I ended up copying. How did it feel to play? I've kind of touched on this already, but going through our test so far. All right, so DPS I pulled after a few hours tested. We absolutely broke 32k. Gear was full Vipers. Did we learn the power of Condi? We learned Condi. Easy to learn? Yes. It was very easy to learn. CC, very good, very good. So Basilisk Venom is a stellar CC skill on a mere 40-second cooldown, and if you need more, you can mess with your second weapon set for that. Also, there's Chip, adorable. Miscellaneous utility. If you needed it, you could have him bring like Scorpion Wire for a pull or something like that. I'll be honest, if there's any crazy utility with this class, I might not even be aware of it. The main thing is this is just like really good, easy to play damage, tons of self-evasion, and it's solid CC option as well. If there's any crazy utility above that, I might not even know about it. Ranged or melee? Mostly melee. I'll say mostly melee. You've got some range damage for until you can get back into melee. So you're not just like you're not just dropping to 0 DPS output when you're forced out, but you will lose like a third of your damage when you're forced out. Chat says stealth and portal options. So yeah, okay, stealth and portal. I'll put that. Intensity, not bad. It's not bad. I would say low to mid. It was not too bad at all. Because like for me, when I'm playing this, most of it is basically like I'm holding forward and I'm just like dodge and then 3. And then I go back to about where I was. Forward dodge, 3. Forward dodge, 3. Occasionally, use the poisons, activate Thousand Needles. Forward dodge, 3, and then activate needles again. It was not super intensive, and it was not too bad to play. Or pick up. I think on my 3rd attempt at trying this on the Golem, I broke 32k, which I was like never able to do with Weaver except until like 2.5 hours. Was it fun to play? Yes, it very much was. Because unlike Weaver and like Chronomancer, for example, with those classes, I was having to focus so much on their stuff down here. I felt like I was playing Subway Surfers down in the corner, and I had very little, like, it was almost like I was having to stare down here, and in my peripheral vision, if I saw red, I would just like do like this, but I was focused down here. And I had to focus, again, more of my attention on the UI than on the game. I was playing with the blips more than I was Guild Wars 2. And I really didn't like that. You don't have to freaking count like, weapon auto chains with this. You don't have to like stare at the shatter bar down here or like count anything like that. It was simple, it was effective, and it was fun. And you gotta admit, it felt a little overpowered when I was just invulnerable 60+% of the time. Like anytime a boss was doing anything, like, there was even moments where Dagda, we did Cosmic Observatory today, and she did her blender move. And I was like, I got enough initiative. And I literally, through her entire blender, I did this. I'm non-stop evading right now. That whole hop, 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 I was evading that whole time. So I did not stop my damage at all when all the other DPS, look at that, when all the other DPS had to back away. And I just stayed in it. Yeah, and again, Bone Skinner. There were puddles everywhere, and I had very limited control of where I was landing. But as long as I kept making sure that I could do one more hop, I was invulnerable. And I just kept bouncing all over. It was crazy. You lose the feeling of yeah, now, of course, when I say invulnerable, I'm referring to stuff you can evade. Many bosses have skills where there's like a big boom, like on Deimos, and you cannot evade that. If you can't dodge it, then the evasion on this class isn't going to protect you from that. You've still got to respect those mechanics. If something's going to kill you through a dodge, it'll kill you through this. But it felt really freaking good on everything short of that. So yeah, I had a lot of fun on this. It felt pretty sturdy. Now granted, you've only got 16k health. If you get caught out of an evade, it's going to hurt pretty bad. That's like 1.2 Weavers. That's pretty fragile. But you do have a lot of evasion. The food it uses is pretty cheap too, the spicy cheeseburgers. With this specific build, you've got 100% bonus Condi duration, and with the cheeseburger, you've got 97% poison duration, bonus poison duration, which is plus 100 is cap. So you've got almost double poison, double bleeding with this gear, and actually it might be 100 if I had a dagger ascended, I'm not sure, but yeah, it's close. It's really close. Yeah, I think I covered everything here. But yeah, it was very simple. It felt, granted, it wasn't like exactly a teamwork thing, but the poisons are a fun mechanic to me. They're instant. You can use them, like you could be in the middle of, if you watch this, like I'm flipping through the air and I can click a poison while doing it as long as it's near my teammates. You know, I give them all the buff and then they hit it and like a whole bunch of damage happens, or I give them all the venom. So I really enjoy the poison system because it's got like a teamwork feel to it. There was, you know, very much a swap your skills based on the fight, but it wasn't like super convoluted. It was literally like CC yes, CC no. Boss moves around a lot, boss holds still. That was it. You do that and you're fine. You're fine. You make those small changes. Another funny thing is I have so little experience on Thief. Half the time I would use Steal. I would steal something. I would have no idea what it does. I would just hurl it into the boss's face. I was throwing like friggin' Elmer's glue and vodka bottles. I would have no idea what it was. I think I hit one dude with a Rubik's Cube. I didn't know what I was grabbing. I might have been giving them buffs. I might have been dotting myself. Who knows? But it freaking worked. I was topping the meters on quite a few of the fights, and I had never played this before today. But yeah, a lot of fun, easy to learn, noob-friendly, and I would definitely put this in the recommended column if any of you would like to try it. It is simple, it is effective, and it is fun. Yeah, that forbidden F word. Reddit hates it.